Hello, I'm Kimber Bennis. Welcome to Illumina-Tea, where I talk about conspiracy theories, new and old. Celebrities are seemingly always in front of the camera. With so many eyes on them, it's not surprising that many of their strange moments have been caught on film. In fact, on occasion, their behavior has been so bizarre that it's led some to believe that they may be under the influence of MKULTRA-like mind control. Today we're going to talk about what exactly MKULTRA is. Then we're going to take a look at some clips in question, and I want you to tell me in the comments whether you think these very famous people are being controlled or possibly even cloned. You may have already heard about Project MKUltra. It's been mentioned, portrayed, and parodied many times throughout pop culture. MKUltra was a series of human experiments performed by the CIA. The goal of the project was to find a way to manipulate people into confessing during interrogations through mind control. They used drugs, primarily LSD, and in one case, a mental health patient in Kentucky was dosed with LSD continuously for 174 days straight. The patients also endured isolation, hypnosis, verbal and sexual abuse, torture, and procedures that were oftentimes very illegal. And yes, all of this stuff is very real and actually went down. Also frighteningly, many of the subjects involved did not consent to having these tests performed on them. The experiments started in the 1950s and were officially halted in the early 1970s. This project was absolutely massive, with over 80 hospitals, prisons, colleges, and pharmaceutical companies involved with the experiments. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all documents related to MKUltra to be destroyed. Despite this, a cache of 20,000 documents related to the projects were uncovered in 1977 using the Freedom of Information Act. This led to Senate hearings about MKUltra later that year. Some of these documents were later declassified and included things like a letter to a doctor regarding brain implants being used to make a dog run, turn, and stop using a remote control. So where does this tie in with current celebrities? Well, some people believe that the experiments never stopped, and that some famous people are puppets for shadow organizations whose influence is used to control the masses. Presumably, the experiments have been mostly successful in this scenario, with notable figures in pop culture essentially selling their souls to be controlled by their masters. But as with any new technology, there are sometimes glitches. One of the most famous clips used by conspiracy theorists is this one of Wendy Williams.
Our first caress.
She is a daytime talk show host known for her big personality. This moment caused a stir because she appears to be completely normal until she snaps, grabbing at her head and fainting. She later claimed that she was just dehydrated, but she was in an air-conditioned studio and is often seen on her show drinking water. Maybe she had some sort of panic attack, or perhaps a computer chip in her head just exploded. Either way, it's strange to watch. Not all examples of this are quite so dramatic. Sometimes people just seem to freeze on camera. Theorists explain this by saying that mind control victims may be triggered by certain phrases. In this clip, we see weatherman and TV personality Al Roker.
Will someone do the junior high hug dance? It's like this. You gotta make it real awkward.
That's exactly how
you have to have a certain amount of distance between the bodies
exactly.
in junior high.
Yes, like they say in Catholic school, leave room for the Holy Ghost. Anyway, there is a lot of memories today, actually. It's a big day in music history.
35 years ago today, Elvis Presley passed away, the king of rock and roll. And as Mark Cohn says in his great song, Walking in Memphis, there's a pretty little thing waiting for the king.
He awkwardly freezes when he hears the phrase Holy Ghost and continues to stay frozen with a goofy face for quite some time while his co-hosts continue talking and joking. Here's a similar clip of Cardi B, where she seemingly freezes in the middle of an interview.
I'm feeling very, I feel nervous, a little bit overwhelmed. I feel a little shaky. I don't know what's wrong with me. No, but it's good. No, it's good. You're gonna get good. It's a good show. Look great.
She does snap out of it pretty quickly, but notice the people behind her turn around and look at her exactly at the moment that she stops moving.
It's good. You're gonna get good. It's a good show. Look great.
Some believe these celebrities are accompanied by handlers who are there to make sure that everything goes smoothly and that the controlled behave as intended. In our last clip, with an on-camera freeze, we have professional basketball player Draymond Green.
Yeah, a lot of ups and downs this year, but it's been a heck of a ride, to be honest. I really can't complain. Yeah, I was I was a little down when I found out I was injured and I had to have surgery again, or with another knee. But at the end of the day, I have amazing teammates. Guys like Draymond, everybody on this team, they come over there, they wrap their hands around me like, yo, we got you. And that's very comforting to me.
He once again remains impossibly still while the people around him continue their conversation. On the complete other end of the spectrum, we have this footage of Winona Ryder during David Harbour's acceptance speech for Stranger Things.
But this award from you, who take your craft seriously and earnestly believe, like me, that great acting can change the world, is a call to arms from our fellow craftsmen and women to go deeper, and through our art to battle against fear, self-centeredness, and exclusivity of our predominantly narcissistic culture, and through our craft to cultivate a more empathetic and understanding society.
She seems to have completely lost control of her face and emotions. Perhaps she's just drunk or really excited, but she does seem to be all over the place and not responding as a normal human being would in this situation. This moment with Beyoncé is a little strange. We see her at a basketball game, but she really seems to be zoned out.
Security Solutions hero of the game, Glenn Martin of New York City. As a longtime real estate executive for Christian & Wakefield, Glenn had the foresight years ago to know what Brooklyn...
She could just be a huge fan or have other stuff on her mind, but the way she sways back and forth for so long with so much going on around her is definitely pretty noticeable. And now we are at my last glitch video of the day. Here we have Katy Perry during one of her performances. She starts acting very strange, and then we see her take a pretty hard fall. Some say that this was all just a part of her act, but if that's true, she is both a very good actress and willing to take a gnarly fall to sell it. Okay, so we've seen all the evidence, but if all of this is true, then who's behind it? I think most would say the Illuminati, so let's go with that. As many of you know, the Illuminati is a real-life secret society that was infiltrated and broken up in 1785. But as early as the late 18th century, conspiracy theorists believed that the group had survived and become the masterminds behind the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror. Most believe that the organization's main goal is to establish a new world order, a singular global government led by the elite. In this context, using famous people's influence to control and manipulate the masses seems to be the main motivation. Another celebrity puppet theory is that popular figures who have died unexpectedly have had their deaths covered up and were subsequently replaced by clones. Here are some examples of look-alike and clone theories. There's a widespread theory that Avril Lavigne may have been replaced by a body double named Melissa in 2003. The story usually goes a little something like this. Avril, struggling with her newfound celebrity and rigorous schedule, began using a body double named Melissa. At some point, the real Avril died, and the record company decided to keep it quiet and completely replace her with her lookalike. Evidence includes her changes of musical style and her voice, as well as her aesthetic completely changing. Side-by-sides went viral, showing small differences in her face, and a photo also surfaced with the name Melissa written on her hand. That really got the rumor mill going. There's also a very similar fan theory about Paul McCartney. Some think that McCartney died in a brutal car accident in 1966 and was replaced by a body double named William Campbell. This vintage conspiracy theory emerged in 1969, around the time Abbey Road was released. Most of the evidence for this one is supposedly hidden in Beatles albums. Some believe the album cover artwork for Abbey Road represents a funeral procession. John, all in white, represents a heavenly figure. Ringo, all in black, is the undertaker. Harrison in denim is the gravedigger, and Paul with no shoes is the corpse. In Strawberry Fields Forever, some think that John Lennon can be heard saying, "I buried Paul." Lennon later said that what he actually was saying was cranberry sauce. A strange one that popped up a few years ago is that Taylor Swift may be a clone of Zena LaVey. Zena is the daughter of Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. This one mostly seems to hinge on what some consider an uncanny resemblance, and both women's association with snakes. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this video up with one of my favorites, the Britney Spears clone theory. This one goes as follows. With Britney being enormously famous in the early 2000s, her record label couldn't risk losing her. In 2004, they decided to clone her, just in case anything horrible happened. Britney supposedly knew about her clone and began working on an independent album titled Original Doll. The song Mona Lisa caused controversy, seeing as it literally has lyrics about being a clone. The album was eventually canceled, and the label now claims that she was never working on it at all. Many conspiracy theorists agree that she was probably replaced by her clone sometime around her famous breakdown in 2008. Her clone, although identical in appearance, doesn't sound like Britney, so they use a voice double named Maya Marie to complete the illusion, which is why Britney now lip-syncs at all of her performances. Oh, and in 2009, her video Break the Ice shows her blowing up a cloning station. And that's all I have for you guys today. What do you think about these theories? Is there any chance that someone in control is using these celebrities to push their agendas? What was your favorite theory, and were there any that you know of that I missed? Let me know in the comments. As always, please give this thumbs up if you liked what you saw and you want to see more conspiracy theories on the channel. And if you're new and you've never watched one of my videos before, please consider subscribing. Also, there is a link to my Patreon in the description if you want to see my channel grow and you possibly want to get some cool merch. Consider subscribing to one of my tiers. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Kimber Bennis. See you next time.